Okay, can you hear me? Yes, yes. Good morning. My name is Nelson Valdiva, and I come from, as Jonas said, I come from a small country in South America, which is called Chile. And now I want to show you two things. One is a very brief and short summary of what we have done there for almost 9 to 10 years with a research center called Ideal. And then I want to show you our project to develop a new stage of this research center, and therefore this presentation is more like an invitation for you, any of you who would like to collaborate with us in this near future. Okay. Next. Yeah, but first I want to thank you for being here, and really thank you. It's my first time in Estonia, my first time in Tallinn, my first time with a makeup, anyways. So yeah, I'm really nervous, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. Okay, so Ideal stands in Spanish for Research Center in Dynamics of High Latitude Marine Ecosystems. So we have been focused on working on the effect of climate change and global change on local communities, marine communities, and also on society and the southern tip of South America. The center started in 2015, funded by a Chilean agency for this kind of let's say, associative initiatives that involve several universities. A lot of people have been working in the center, as you can see. So everything that I'm showing today, actually their work, I participate somewhere there, actually. I think I'm over there. But it's a big team working together. Sorry again. So this is the web page of the center. So if you get bored with my presentation, you can have a look at the web page. And as you can see here, it has a strong focus on Antarctica, but also on southern Patagonia. You can find some outreach activities, for example, a book on Patagonia underwater kelp forest. Even a repository for oceanographic databases that can be downloaded from any place of the world. And we have participated also in global reports like State of Cryosphere 2022 and 2023. Also, some members of the team were in the IPCC report, for example. Another result was our participation in the Ocean Health Index. And probably you know it from Ben Halpert, which for each country of the world, but Chile wasn't there, so we need to build it. You can get a score in terms of the health of oceans that goes from 0 to 100. As you can see, Chile is like more or less, it's not perfect, but at least it's above the 50% of health. And this was done for all these municipalities that face the coast along the country. We have a very long country. You can see, you can count the degrees, the latitudinal degrees here. So we have much room for testing these indexes. Some books regarding, for example, subtidal kelp forest, invertebrates in Antarctica, but also history, like you can see here. Most of them can be downloaded in PDF format from the webpage, if you want to see them. Some are in Spanish, also translated to English or even to German in some cases. This is, I think, only Spanish, and this was dealing with colonization and how evolved the society across not only the South, but also South America after the colonization from Europe. Some expositions, for example, photographic, holographic expositions, so people can somehow feel how Antarctica is. Another book, this means micro tales for children. And also we have an exposition of the sound of Antarctica. And you can also download the files and the books in 3 languages. Okay, but this has to end. Next year, actually almost this year, the center will finish, so we have to continue and to make some adjustment, big adjustment. We have until October of next year. So we want to change from Ideal to Blue Ideal. This is what I want to invite you to participate. And why blue? Well, we know, as we saw yesterday, and actually in the next presentation by Iona, we are in the middle of a climate crisis, but also in the middle of social and economic crisis. And since the 80s, we already know that both kind of crises have to be analyzed together. We cannot analyze the ecological crisis from one side or climate crisis and the economic for the other side. We need to integrate those. And that was something that the research center was not able to do very well. So we want to improve that. And this is resulting in the collapse of ecosystem function, but also ecosystem services, like falling down. So in this border condition of climate and economic crisis, during the 90s appeared a concept that was called the blue economy or blue development as a way to develop economic activities, but keeping in mind and in the center the ocean health. So this is what we want to put also in the center of our new proposal. And Antarctica and the southern tip of South America is a very good example of how these two aspects interact and result in emergent social ecological phenomena. It's a very complex region. This is just the southern part, but it's very interesting because it's very close. I mean, this is a continent as it's very close to Antarctica. So this is like a gateway to get into Antarctica through Chile. Sorry. And there are many activities there, productive activities, for example, cattle, small-scale fisheries, and there is a huge activities related with touristic activities. Sorry. So how we want to analyze this? We are using the concept of social ecological systems that are moving and evolving over time. I don't want you to follow the entire picture, but this means like connectors between human and ecological variables, and this is the potential to generate more connections. So each social ecological system can be analyzed or can be idealized theoretically as something that is moving somewhere in that point. Now, when the systems are too complex, we need to disaggregate them in small systems that are nested within this huge region. This is called panarchy in this theoretical background. Okay, so we want to focus on 3 emergent phenomena that we are observing in the region, but probably you will see that this can be observed also in other regions of the world. So first, there's an intensification of conflicts between different users of the shoreline. For example, salmon farming is growing very fast in the region, is migrating from the north to, of course, not Antarctica, but to Magallanes. Small-scale fisheries, indigenous peoples that were there before all this colonization, marine protected areas are very important in the region and very important for the Chilean development as well. Tourists, as I told you, and there is a huge project to develop green hydrogen over there for energy, to export it to Europe, actually. For example, these are some maps made from the regional government, sorry. These are areas that should be reserved for conservation, marine protected areas. You see a large part of the region should be conserved. But there are also other activities, like tourism and areas for indigenous peoples. You know, you can imagine how they overlap. Port and shipping facilities that have to do with the economic development. Maybe you cannot see them from the back, but there are several point lines over there that also will and are already overlapping with these conservation areas. Energy projects are more focused in this part. This is called the Strait of Magallanes. So this connects the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. So it will be flooded by these future projects. This is just an zoom, so you can see all this area already entered in the system for environmental assessment. And the last one has to do with and Jona already mentioned that non-indigenous species and they becoming more frequent in Antarctica, but also in Magallanes. We are observing them more frequently. There are not many, as Jona said, but they are appearing more and more. For example, we have shown in this paper that when coastal, ocean movement of water, can change through to storms, they can allow some passive transport across the Antarctic circumpolar current. So the current is not so close as we thought before. Actually, in Antarctica, once we found bull kelps, which are a canopy-forming species that occurs all around Antarctica, but not in Antarctica. And those fragments were alive, and according to genetic and this phylogenetic tree, it's very likely that they came from this Kerguelen Island and South Georgia. So they probably gave all the way around the current and then hit over there in the peninsula. Actually, I took the photo. Another way to connect organisms between the continent and Antarctica is shipping, and the main activity relates with tourism and then scientific activities that moving ships back and forth. But it's not only dispersal important, but also the environmental conditions are changing. This is a good example of these digital twins that Jonah presented, in which we have local sensors of temperature. We deployed it in 5 sites in South Shetland Island, and this was combined with satellite information that allowed us to detect a couple of marine heat waves that can change environmental conditions, can be favorable for invasive species. Glaciers are retreating, so there's more opportunities for settlement. And indeed, we found mussels from the north living in sea sponges in Antarctica. Don't ask me how the diver saw this, but we found them anyways. They are very small, but this is a haplotype network. It's very likely that those mussels had haplotypes from again the north, southern Patagonia and Kerguelen Island. So somehow they managed to cross the current. And also in Strait of Magellan, we have genetic evidence of Northern Hemisphere mussels, and they are also even hybridizing with local mussels. So things are happening over there. And the third phenomenon has to do with Antarctic krill fishery, which is expanding over the southern ocean. And why we focus on this fishery is because krill is a very, very important element of the Southern Ocean food web. If you don't see the krill here, it's because they are in the middle, so you can see that this food web has a very high centrality. So most links go to a krill, and then you can see it over there. So if something happens to those populations, the food web can be very affected. Fisheries are mostly concentrated here in this quadrant of the Southern Ocean. And what we saw, I mean, this is a paper from our colleagues from INACH, which is the Antarctic Institute from Chile. And they show over time that as the ice is retreating, the fisheries are concentrated in new areas. For example, this is the Bransfield Strait, and you see that this is getting more and more concentrated in terms of fishing activities. So how we study this? Usually, you can see that a complex social-ecological system is separated in biophysical templates, including the biological non-human aspect, and very, very, very far away from that in the model appear the humans. So that's somehow separated, and they are connected by ecosystem services or disturbances or other external drivers. So we didn't want to use this approach. We didn't to use a different one, which is called the social-ecological action situation framework, in which combines a bit more these two aspects. This was proposed by Elinor Ostrom, who was a Nobel Prize in economy. And here we use agent-based model. These symbols represent agents, humans or not humans, and they interact in this action situation, which can be only between humans, for example, trading, can be only between non-humans, for example, a fish eating another fish, that is predation interaction, and this is where the magic happens in which humans interact with non-humans. For example, a fisher fishing a fish. And the combination of these interactions can be used to explain why a phenomenon happens. In this case, it's the collapse of a fishery in that paper. So let's see how it works, and maybe we can learn something new today. So we have the agents that interact in these action situations, and then the action situations can impact one each on another. Let's go step by step before the time goes back. Let's use the example of krill. So we have two types of agents. There are humans, or actors, for example, fishers. On the other side, we have ecological entities or non-human interactors, for example, krill. So they have something that's called agency, which is a manifestation of the capacity to act. They can affect other elements of this network. Now we have the action situations where these elements interact. We have three types. As I introduced you, you have social action situations. We have ecological action situations, where we have only non-humans interacting, and in between, we have like a transition of these two elements. Something important, is the emergent outcomes of this interaction that can affect the others. Like, for example, in the trading that can affect the demand for more krill in the fishery. And in vice versa, this can affect the supply. And here you can see also these emergent outcomes. And a fourth element, so we get things more complicated, are the border conditions that can be social, political, and biophysical, which will be very important in the proposal. For example, in this small subset of the interactions, we focus very strongly on how sea ice is changing over time, how sea ice is getting more small. So after a long review of papers and also including expert acknowledgement, we came up with this. It looks messy, but if you concentrate in columns, you see that, again, we have different kind of trading, the economic aspect. We have the rulemaker or governance, which is very important in case of krill, camelar, which we can also include not include camelar, but work with them. Here we have the interface, and here we have all these glacier processes that can affect both the system. And we can also include even ourselves in the hypothesis, the scientists, how participate in this complex system. So this will be a huge hypothesis that will be analyzed like a map, will be our road map. For the second phenomena, we have another map like this. Again, the same structure. In this case, again, we have changes in sea ice affecting different aspects of the hypothesis. And for the third phenomenon, we have a more complex map because it's a very complex situation. So in these cases, this hypothesis wants to explain the causes, but also the consequences of this growing competition for shoreline. And again, we have the same structure of different kind of action situations. And we are here as scientists. So how we want to analyze this? The idea is to have different working groups that will analyze this different part of the map. For example, a working group focus on atmospheric, cryosphere, and oceanographic sciences will be more focusing on a specific hypothesis and objective here. Another group working more on physiology will be covering this part of the map. Ecology, which is my working group, will be more in this area, for example, and the social dimensions group will cover a large part of this governance and market aspects. So this is very, very brief. This is how the center will look like. We have the three core areas, and here we have the working groups that cover different aspects of each map. And of course, they are grouped according to what we can do. We can't do everything, but at least we can cover oceanographic aspect and atmospheric and cryosphere. This is more physiology, functional ecology, and human dimension. And will be a very, very big group that we call the Science Policy Interface Lab, because the Chilean government wants us to really impact public policies with our research. That will be mandatory of the proposal. And as we saw just some minutes ago, that can be a way to transform this science into something that can impact directly people, actually. So that's the idea. That's a very challenge for us. That's why this lab will be in charge of basically control our activities and to make the interface with the political aspect of, with the policies. Institutions, these are universities. This is my university, so will be like a center of gravity. And these are two major universities in southern Chile. But also we need to involve people from the government. This is the Ministry for Environmental Affairs, and this has to do with Antarctic research and or logistic and investigation over there, which is called INACH. This is what already we have as international collaborations. These are the major collaborators, but to this we have to adapt all individual collaborations that each of us have in the system. For example, like Yona and myself working in these specific papers. But we already have a good amount of international collaboration. So getting to the end, this is the name of the funding element. So it's called New National Interest Research. And that's good because Antarctica and Southern Patagonia is something that the government thinks that is very important for the development of the country, but also for the entire world. But the time is running, it's ticking, so the deadline is next January. So if anyone is interested to collaborate with us, please tell me right now. So this is the end. Thank you very much. Don't forget Ocean Health as the center of the center, and thank you very much. Oh, just on time. Do we have time for questions? No? Yeah? Or intention to collaborate? Any question? No? Please.
Are you also monitoring the impact of tourism in Antarctic waters, and what should the organizers of tourism, like myself, should know about that?
What should know? Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Well, first, we have to be very careful in cleaning. It's like try to not bring biological material to Antarctica, but also we have to be very careful in how we behave in Antarctica. And we cannot have, for example, Antarctic souvenirs or take stones or a little organism and bring it back to mainland. Actually, that is already well categorized in Chilean logistical Chilean governance. But we still want to revisit that with the new evidence that we want to achieve during the next 5 years. Something else? No? Any complaint? No? Well, if not, thank you. Thank you very much.